Hey guys, there's not much going on at Kin right now, so we're gonna look. Except that they have the Kin Foundation has a CTO now, but that's pretty much it. So nothing new there to report. So we're gonna look today at Mana, which is the Ethereum token for Decentraland. If you haven't heard of Decentraland, now that's a very interesting project because it is the first metaverse completely decentralized, meaning that if you own a parcel of land, you can build on top of it whatever you want. Nobody can censor you, nobody can tell you you cannot build that or something. And then you just give people coordinates with a link, and people can directly access that parcel of land and do whatever, kind of interaction with the land as they see fit. It isn't actually, it is in the cryptoverse, it's a very, very important project. Not just because it's a virtual world, but because it's a decentralized world, because it cannot be censored. And that makes it very, 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 very special. And the reason why it's pumping right now so hard, why it just exploded shortly to 1.2 almost, and now it's a 1.05, is because two things are being enabled. One thing is Nifty's NFTs, so you're gonna have sales of NFTs within this Decentraland verse. Already has been happening for quite some time, but now the hype is, of course, overloaded. So all kind of tokens related to Nifty's are exploding. It's a little bit like a stock market hype. It's gonna eventually calm down a little bit. But you never know, somebody, a big auction house might go in Christie's and start auctioning out, like Christie's auctioning house might start, offering stuff on Mana on Decentraland. So that makes it very interesting. The other thing is that real life applications are gonna start to pop up. Like I've heard that there's gonna be a way to order real life pizzas on Decentraland, so they're working on that, I think. So there's going to be some kind of real life interface for certain things, like let's say ordering a pizza. So you could go like and mix the virtual world with the real world, and so slowly these things are starting to pop up, and that makes it very interesting. And you can see that the hype is very big, that even after some sell-offs, it pumps up again. So the Nifty hype is right now really big. So there's a lot of positives and a lot of negatives to Decentraland and Mana. The first huge positive is that it's truly decentralized. The negative thing about it is that not that many people use it yet. So they're gonna have to push a lot to expand the use cases and push a lot of people in there. Push also the ability to interact with objects, and keep on developing developer tools for game developers, for virtual world developers. But it's such a new thing that it will take some time to build out. Now, do I think that that decentralized metaverses are going to win over central ones? I'm not sure. Just like social networks are still centralized. But one of things is clear, that especially what's been happening this and last year, decentralized platforms are gonna become the norm. We're not gonna go back to centralized platforms. There's gonna be a major switch to decentralized platforms within the next year. So any kind of pumping based on decentralization is definitely warranted. But how Decentraland itself is going to be able to keep up with expectations, that's going to be a major thing, because these technologies are fairly complicated. Graphics have to improve a lot, interaction has to improve a lot. The stickiness for people to come back into Decentraland has to improve a lot. It cannot just be oh, look, my art is being exhibited on Decentraland. It must be more like a, wow, my art got sold on Decentraland for 5 million or something, and 200 visitors showed up on the vernissage or something like that. So that's the kind of news that needs to happen, and not just by artificial pumping, but by real interest. And just the price of Mana going up Like I said, Mana is the virtual currency, Ethereum based token for Decentraland. Just that going up is a good indication of enough interest to be there for development to continue and to improve. And there is a huge time line with all kinds of interesting, development targets for Decentraland, including making it completely available for virtual reality. So you can look that up on decentraland.org, I believe, at the website. So, and Decentraland on Twitter. So I do think it's very interesting, and it will be interesting whether it can live up to the nifty NFT hype that's out there right now. I do believe that some of the nifty hype has been faked. I think some really rich people faked some of the auctions in order to get the press releases out. Like, for example, I could imagine that Grimes' artwork was actually bought by Elon Musk. So that's my guess, or it was at least hyped up through friends. That's one of my guesses, because they just kind of tried to pump the crypto stuff for fun, just like they've been pumping Dogecoin, which is very shady. So yeah, but that's where we are. And I think any kind of hype right now for crypto is interesting, because that's really the future. And this kind of pump is almost, it's probably going to pull down from here somewhat. But there's no assurance for anything. It could also double. So I've been watching Decentraland for some time, and I do believe that that there is potential, but there is still such a long way to go for it to become really a mainstream thing. But who knows, where it's gonna go. I fear for a lot of projects, not just, Decentraland, but for a lot of crypto projects right now, that they're gonna be overtaken by more experienced and larger development teams eventually from bigger corporations who are gonna launch their own projects. Like, let's say Epic Games moves in and does their own kind of like Decentraland type of thing. I think that there's a big possibility for that. Because eventually the game developers are going to see, wow, there's so much money in there to be made. But of course, they're not going to come from the same perspective. They might not want to decentralize it completely. But fact is, Decentraland right now is the only fully decentralized metaverse. And the interesting thing about it is also that it's so easily accessible through the web browser. So that makes it also very interesting, and we'll see where it goes. So far, to be honest, I've done a little bit on Decentraland, but most of the time I just don't return. That's my experience for now. But I'm also not into art and nifties, so I'm not into that at all. Like the hype could be 100 times what it is now. I don't care about nifties and nifty art. It's just something, just like I'm not interested in liquidity pools and all this stuff. I don't know, it's something that just doesn't interest me much. So, but for anyone who's into it, I mean, enlighten me, put it in the comment section if you're much into nifties and also NFTs, and how you see Decentraland play out with nifties and the cross connection with the real world. The interesting thing is really that you can buy a plot and put anything on it as you want. Eventually, Decentraland's gonna have to expand somehow with the plots. There's gonna have to be some changes, like, because for a major developer to buy 1 or 2 plots is not interesting. They would basically need the size of 100 plots in order to put a game in there. So it's gonna be interesting how that's gonna play out, and what kind of vision the guys, the Argentinian guys have that started Decentraland. I have a strong feeling that something bigger is going to move in and try to take the space that's from an already established development house. But who knows? We haven't seen it so far. So and maybe with the current hype on the and the market capitalization increase, maybe they're gonna hire more developers and just gonna pump out more stuff. So it's gonna be interesting. I mean, any kind of price increase is more firepower to them. And I don't even know exactly what their inflation is or how they finance the development. I would have to look that up.